The scrape of chairs against linoleum echoed through the empty cafeteria like nails on a chalkboard. It was 5:20 p.m. on a Thursday, and the October sun cast long shadows through the tall windows of Ridgemont Preparatory Academy. Most students had fled campus hours ago, eager to escape into their weekend plans. Most teachers, too. But Kara Mitchell sat alone at a corner table, red pen moving steadily across a stack of biology exams, her brown hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, cardigan wrapped against the chill of the over-air-conditioned space. She heard them before she saw them. 3 sets of footsteps, deliberate and unhurried, echoing from the service entrance at the back of the cafeteria. Kara's pen didn't stop moving, but something in her posture shifted. Imperceptibly. Just a slight adjustment of weight. A subtle awareness that radiated outward like sonar. Dylan Prescott entered first, his crimson lacrosse jacket catching the fluorescent lights. 6 feet tall, shoulders built from years of private coaching and performance supplements his daddy's money could buy. Behind him walked a man in a tailored gray suit, Richard Prescott, the kind of billionaire who wore his wealth like armor and wielded it like a weapon. And bringing up the rear, Assistant Principal Marcus Webb, fidgeting with his tie, eyes darting toward the exits like a man who knew he shouldn't be there but couldn't afford to leave. They formed a triangle around Kara's table, blocking her escape routes with practiced efficiency. Richard Prescott cleared his throat, the sound sharp and commanding. "Miss Mitchell, we need to discuss my son's grade." Kara looked up slowly, meeting his eyes with an expression so calm it bordered on unsettling. "My office hours are Tuesdays and Thursdays, 3 to 4 p.m. You're welcome to schedule an appointment, Mr. Prescott." Dylan slammed his palm on the table, sending several papers skittering toward the edge. "You think you're so smart?" This time Kara set down her pen with deliberate care, the kind of controlled movement that suggested she was choosing restraint over alternatives. She looked at Dylan, then Richard, then Marcus. A small smile touched the corners of her mouth, the expression you might wear when you know something others don't. "You have 28 seconds before an encrypted recording of this conversation uploads automatically to the Federal Bureau of Investigation." The statement hung in the air like a live grenade. Richard Prescott's confident smirk flickered. Dylan's hand, still flat on the table, tensed. Marcus Webb took an involuntary step backward. What happened in those next 28 seconds would expose a corruption network spanning 5 states and 43 schools. But none of them knew that yet. They only knew that the quiet new biology teacher wasn't reacting the way victims were supposed to. The silence stretched taut. Then Richard laughed, though it sounded forced. "Threatening us already? We just got here." He pulled out a chair without asking, spinning it around to straddle it backward, an alpha male power move straight from some boardroom psychology playbook. "Let me explain how things work at Ridgemont, Miss Mitchell. I donate $2 million annually to this institution. The Board of Trustees, all personal friends. One phone call and your employment here vanishes like morning fog. If you've ever watched someone stand up to power when everyone else stayed silent, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what you're about to see isn't just a story about one teacher. It's about every person who's been told to look the other way while the powerful break the rules. And if you've got your own story of fighting back, drop it in the comments. Your voice matters, and this community needs to hear it. Kara folded her hands on the table, her posture relaxed in a way that didn't match the situation. "That's interesting, Mr. Prescott. Are you familiar with Title 18 United States Code, Section 201? Federal statute covering bribery of public officials. Private schools receiving federal funding, which Ridgemont does through Title IV student aid, falls squarely under that jurisdiction." Richard's eyes narrowed. This wasn't going according to script. You memorize legal codes in your spare time? Only the relevant ones. Kara's voice remained maddeningly even. She reached for her pen again, as if their presence was merely a mild interruption to her evening routine. But those watching closely might have noticed her thumb resting on her phone screen, the faint red dot of a recording app glowing in the dim light. Dylan stepped closer, trying to loom over her with his height advantage. My dad's trying to help you understand reality. You failed me on the midterm because you don't like me. I gave you a 72, Dylan. That's a C-, based entirely on your exam performance. Your lab reports are solid, which tells me you understand practical application. But your test scores show significant gaps in theoretical knowledge. Kara's eyes flicked to Richard. Unless external factors are affecting results. The implication landed like a punch. Richard's jaw clenched. Are you suggesting my son cheats? I'm suggesting test environments produce reliable data about individual comprehension. When scores vary dramatically based on seating arrangements and supervision levels, it raises questions. Kara pulled out a small notebook, the kind with hard cover and tabbed dividers. Not a teacher's gradebook. Something more systematic. October 8th, AP Biology exam. Dylan's answers matched Travis Huang's identically, including 3 incorrect responses. Same punctuation errors, same unusual abbreviations. Statistical probability of coincidence? Effectively 0. Marcus Webb shifted nervously. Miss Mitchell, these are serious accusations. Documentation isn't accusation, Marcus. Kara didn't even glance his way. It's record-keeping, something I'm quite good at. Richard stood abruptly, his chair scraping loudly. You're making the biggest mistake of your career. Do you understand who I am? What I can do? Completely. Kara stood as well, but her movement was different. Controlled, balanced, feet shoulder-width apart, weight distributed evenly, hands loose at her sides. Anyone with combat training would recognize the stance immediately. Richard Prescott, who'd never faced a real threat in his cushioned life, only registered it as odd. But do you understand federal whistleblower protection laws? Or Colorado's one-party consent recording statute? She held up her phone. The recording app timer showed 12 minutes, 17 seconds, and counting. Under Colorado Revised Statutes Section 18-9-304, I can legally record this conversation without your knowledge or permission. In the past 12 minutes, you've threatened my employment to coerce academic fraud. Marcus witnessed it as a school official without intervening, establishing complicity. And Dylan, she looked at the young man whose face was turning an interesting shade of purple. You attempted to intimidate a teacher to change grades. That's not just academic misconduct. In this context, with the threats already made, it edges toward assault. Dylan lunged forward, hand reaching for her shoulder, fingers grasping. What happened next was so fast that Richard almost missed it. Kara's left foot pivoted slightly, her body angling just enough that Dylan's momentum carried him past her. His hand closed on empty air. His own forward motion, suddenly without resistance, sent him stumbling into the table edge. Not thrown, not struck, just redirected, like water around stone. Don't touch me! Kara's voice dropped half an octave, still not loud but carrying a command presence that filled the cafeteria. Dylan scrambled to catch his balance, his face now red with embarrassment and rage. Richard stared. That wasn't luck. That was training. Kara swiped her phone screen, pulling up a cloud backup interface. This recording uploads in real time to encrypted storage with verified timestamps. Legal chain of custody maintained. You can destroy this phone, fire me, threaten me, all you want. The evidence already exists in 3 separate secure locations. My attorney has access. So does the Colorado Department of Education, and so does Special Agent Torres at the FBI Denver field office. She set the phone down on the table between them, screen facing up so they could see the backup progress bar moving steadily toward completion. So here's what happens next. You have two options. Walk away right now and accept that Dylan earns his grades honestly going forward. Or escalate this situation and discover exactly how much federal prosecutors enjoy cases involving wealthy defendants who think they're above the law. That timer is still counting down. 14 seconds left. Marcus Webb broke first. "Richard, maybe we should—" "Shut up, Marcus." Richard's voice was venomous, but his confidence was cracking. He looked at Kara with new eyes, seeing past the cardigan and gradebook to something harder underneath. "Who are you?" Kara smiled. "I'm a biology teacher who believes grades should reflect actual learning. Beyond that?" She glanced at her watch, a detail Richard suddenly noticed. Not a delicate fashion piece, but an oversized chronograph with luminous markers and rotating bezel, the kind worn by people who need reliability in extreme conditions. "You're about to find out." The phone buzzed. Message notification. "Lieutenant Commander J. Park," the screen showed. Richard couldn't see the full message, but Kara's eyes flicked across it before she looked back up. "Gentlemen, I think this conversation is over. The recording is secure. Your threats are documented, and you should probably consult with lawyers before our next interaction." What Richard Prescott didn't know was that Kara Mitchell had already gathered something far more damaging than one recorded conversation. Hidden behind an anatomical skull in her locked classroom was surveillance equipment that would unravel everything. After her first confrontation with Dylan 2 weeks earlier, Kara had installed a professional-grade camera. Not some cheap device, but military-spec equipment with motion-activated recording, infrared night vision, and encrypted cloud backup. The kind that produces court-admissible evidence with legal timestamp authentication and automatic secure server uploads. She'd positioned it perfectly behind that skull, covering both the whiteboard where she wrote test questions and the student desks where Dylan and his friends sat. Video evidence, with proper documentation, becomes the difference between he said, she said, and undeniable proof. No one could claim coincidence when every exchange, every shared answer was captured in crystal-clear detail. And over the past 12 days, that camera had recorded something extraordinary. Dylan and 3 other students, Travis Huang, Madison Sterling, and Brooks Whitmore, all from families whose annual donations exceeded 6 figures, meeting in her lab during free periods when they thought no one was watching. Trading test answers. Photographing exams left deliberately accessible. Texting solutions during assessments. 12 hours of footage showing systematic, coordinated cheating. But that was just the beginning. Because what Kara had also captured, quite accidentally, was Assistant Principal Webb entering the lab after hours, accessing the grading computer with administrator credentials, and changing scores in the database. Dylan's 72 became an 88. Travis's 69 became a 91. Madison's failed lab report disappeared entirely from the system. All of it time-stamped. All of it documented. All of it illegal. Richard Prescott, Marcus Webb, and Dylan finally left the cafeteria, their threats hanging in the air like toxic smoke. Kara waited until their footsteps faded before allowing herself a single long exhale. Her hands were steady. Her heartbeat was normal. 8 years of training in far more dangerous situations had taught her that fear was just information, not instruction. She'd faced hostile interrogations where recording devices meant death, gathered intelligence while enemies circled within arm's reach. Three wealthy Americans posturing in a well-lit cafeteria were, by comparison, amateurs playing at intimidation. She gathered her papers, shut down her laptop, and walked toward her classroom. The October evening had deepened to twilight, empty hallways taking on that unsettling quality of institutions after hours. But Kara moved through them with practiced efficiency, checking corners from habit, the way someone who'd cleared buildings in hostile territory never quite lost the muscle memory of tactical awareness. Her classroom door was locked, exactly as she'd left it. Good. Inside, she moved directly to the shelf where the anatomical skull grinned its eternal smile. Behind it, the tiny camera lens caught the overhead lights, virtually invisible unless you knew exactly where to look. She pulled out her phone, opened the monitoring app, and checked the footage from the past 3 hours. Nothing. No one had entered. The camera remained undiscovered. Kara downloaded the most recent files, added them to encrypted folders already bursting with evidence, and then did something that would prove crucial in the coming weeks. She copied everything, multiple times, distributing the files across different cloud services, external hard drives, and secure servers. Then she sent a compressed summary to 3 email addresses. One belonged to Lieutenant Commander James Park, JAG Corps, her former colleague who now specialized in military personnel transitioning to civilian whistleblower cases. One went to an attorney specializing in education law and federal corruption cases, and the third went to an encrypted inbox monitored by the FBI's Public Corruption Unit, though she wouldn't learn that detail until later. The response came faster than Kara expected. Friday morning, 7:30 a.m., Special Agent Maria Torres from the FBI Denver field office called while Kara was pouring her first coffee. "Commander Mitchell, we need to meet. Your evidence package arrived at 3 a.m. I've been reviewing it for 4 hours straight, and I need to tell you something. This isn't just Ridgemont. We've been tracking academic corruption networks across 12 states, but we've never had documentation this comprehensive. You built this case like an intelligence operation." Kara's grip tightened on her mug. "I had good training. 8 years, Naval Special Warfare, intelligence officer, medical retirement in 2021 after a classified mission went sideways. Purple Heart recipient." Torres wasn't asking. She'd already pulled Kara's service records. "Commander, your shoulder injury, the reason you left service, was that from the operation in—" "Still classified, Agent Torres." Kara cut her off gently. "What matters now is stopping this fraud ring before more students get cheated out of honest education." "Agreed. But I need you to understand what you've started. Richard Prescott isn't just some local donor. His business partner, Maxwell Sterling, operates the same scheme at Westfield Academy in Connecticut. We're looking at a network spanning 43 institutions. Systematic grade manipulation for profit. And they're not going to go quietly." They didn't. That evening, Richard Prescott's black Mercedes was waiting in the Ridgemont parking lot when Kara finished her last class. Dylan leaned against it, arms crossed. Marcus Webb's sedan blocked the exit lane. They'd choreographed this confrontation, picking a time when most staff had left, but before security made evening rounds. Isolated, controlled, threatening. Kara walked toward them with measured steps, phone already recording in her jacket pocket. "Mr. Prescott, Dylan Marcus, is there something I can help you with?" Richard stepped forward, and the afternoon sun caught the sharp angles of his face. 24 hours, Miss Mitchell. Resigned for personal reasons, health concerns, family emergency. I don't care. Just disappear." "No." Dylan pushed off the car, closing distance with aggressive intent. "Maybe you need motivation to understand." "Stop right there." Kara's hands came up, palms out, a universal signal that any reasonable person would recognize as establishing boundaries. Dylan wasn't reasonable. He kept coming, reaching for her arm with the confidence of someone who'd never faced real consequences for physical intimidation. What happened next took less than 3 seconds. Kara's left hand intercepted Dylan's wrist, not grabbing, but redirecting. Her body pivoted on her back foot, using his forward momentum against him. Dylan stumbled past her trajectory, his own aggression carrying him off balance until he sprawled onto the asphalt. No strike, no throw, just physics and 8 years of training that made defensive responses as automatic as breathing. Dylan scrambled up, face flushed crimson. "You just assaulted me!" Self-defense against battery. Kara pointed upward without taking her eyes off them. Parking lot camera caught everything. You attempted unwanted physical contact. I used minimal force to prevent it. Textbook lawful response, and every second is documented. She pulled out her phone, showing the recording app timer. "Along with your father's threats, Marcus's complicity, and your admission of intent to harm. Want to add anything else before I send this to my attorney?" Richard Prescott's expression shifted from rage to calculation to something resembling fear. That move wasn't luck. That move was professional training, the kind that didn't come from weekend self-defense seminars. The emergency board meeting happened Saturday morning, called with such urgency that members arrived still in golf clothes and weekend casual wear. Richard Prescott sat at the conference table head, orchestrating one final power play. Miss Mitchell created a hostile environment, attacked a student, violated privacy through illegal recording. I move for immediate termination. Kara sat calmly at the opposite end. Colorado's one-party consent state. My recordings are legal, and Dylan attempted battery. Video evidence proves defensive response, nothing more. You're finished. Richard's voice was ice. Security will escort you out. Don't return to campus. Actually, Kara opened her laptop, turning it so the board could see. As of 8 a.m. today, the Federal Bureau of Investigation opened investigation number 7-23-498 into academic fraud and public corruption at this institution. Under the Whistleblower Protection Act, you cannot terminate me during active federal investigation. This restraining order, signed by Federal Judge Catherine Morrison at 7:45 this morning, prevents my dismissal until investigation concludes. The room exploded. Board members shouting. Richard's face going pale. Marcus Webb stood up, shaking. I want immunity. I'll testify. Richard paid me $50,000 to change grades. I have bank records. I have emails. He threatened to destroy my career if I refused. Shut up, Marcus! But Richard's command came too late. The first domino had fallen. 3 weeks later, Kara stood on the Boulder County Courthouse steps, morning sun bright against November cold. Media vans lined the street. Reporters shouted questions. Protesters held signs reading, "Justice for Teachers" and "No More Corruption." Beside her, Lieutenant Commander James Park stood in service dress blues, his uniform a deliberate statement that some battles transcend civilian jurisdiction. Richard Prescott's lead attorney intercepted them at the courthouse entrance, designer suit and practiced smile. Miss Mitchell, final offer, $1 million. Drop all charges. Sign non-disclosure. Walk away. No. The attorney's smile vanished. We'll destroy your credibility. Your military discharge. The real reason you left service. The classified operations that went wrong. Park stepped forward, his voice carrying across the courthouse steps where reporters recorded every word. "Careful, counselor. You're threatening to illegally expose classified military records. That's violation of Title 18 United States Code, Section 798. Commander Mitchell served 8 years with honor. She's a Purple Heart recipient. She left because shrapnel from an IED lodged near her spine during a rescue operation that saved 4 civilian lives. The only thing you'll expose is your own desperation." A reporter pushed through the crowd. "Miss Mitchell, is it true you're a Navy SEAL?" The question hung there, the moment crystallizing. Kara could deflect, could maintain privacy, could let this identity remain hidden. Instead, she met the camera directly. "I was an intelligence officer with Naval Special Warfare for 8 years. I'm proud of that service. I'm equally proud to be a teacher. Both roles are about protecting people. The enemy just looks different." The trial that followed was swift. Federal prosecutors presented Kara's evidence, meticulously organized, timestamps verified, chain of custody impeccable. 12 hours of video showing coordinated cheating. Bank records proving $50,000 bribery payment. Recorded threats against multiple teachers. A network spanning 5 states and 43 schools. Richard Prescott, standing before Judge Thompson in handcuffs, no longer looked like untouchable wealth. He looked like what he was: a criminal. Bail revoked. Defendant remanded to custody pending trial. The evidence presented here suggests systematic corruption that extends far beyond this jurisdiction. 6 months passed. Spring returned to Boulder, bringing green to the mountains and warmth to the quad where Ridgemont students gathered between classes. Kara stood in her biology lab, teaching cellular respiration to a room full of engaged faces. Jennifer Santos, the scholarship student who'd found courage to testify about Dylan's harassment, now led study groups. Travis Huang, who'd participated in the cheating ring but came forward with evidence, was rebuilding his academic integrity one honest test at a time. After class, Kara's phone rang. Unknown number. She almost ignored it, but something made her answer. "Commander Mitchell, this is Special Agent Sarah Liu, FBI Educational Integrity Task Force. How can I help you, Agent Liu? Your case opened doors we've been trying to breach for 5 years. We've uncovered corruption at 43 schools across 12 states. Systematic fraud affecting thousands of students. But we need specialized expertise. Someone who understands both tactical intelligence and educational systems. Someone with your protective instincts." Kara looked around her classroom at the life she'd built. Safe, simple, meaningful. "I'm a teacher now, Agent Liu. I left that world." "I understand, but there's a situation at Westfield Academy in Connecticut. Same pattern. Wealthy donor, complicit administration, grades for sale. The teacher who reported it, Amanda Brooks, disappeared 3 weeks ago. Left her apartment, never came back. We found her car at Denver International Airport with no flight records, no credit card activity since. Nothing." Cold dread settled in Kara's chest. We think these networks are more dangerous than we realized. And the teacher who reported the next case might need someone with your particular skill set, watching their back. Someone who knows how to protect people in hostile territory." Kara stared at her desk. Safe, simple, meaningful. But somewhere, a teacher was missing. "Send me the case file," she said quietly. "Westfield Academy's biggest donor? Maxwell Sterling. Richard Prescott's business partner." The email arrived. "Confidential, Westfield Academy investigation. Amanda Brooks, 28, physics teacher. Last seen October 15th. No body. just absence. Kara pulled out a small box. Inside, her Navy SEAL trident on a silver chain. She clasped it around her neck. Text to Park. Jim, I need another favor. This one's bigger than both of us. The laptop showed a network map connecting 43 schools. At the center, Prescott. Sterling, others. Some battles you don't choose. They choose you. The hunt had only just begun.